It's always a pleasure to come and read here in Ventura. It's one of my favorite venues and favorite audiences. So thank you so much for coming. All right, here we go. When my lover tells me I cannot say no, and I protest, she parts my legs, says, yes, baby, yes. I do what I'm told. No becomes a foreign country. I take it as permission, open season. So when the waiter asks if there'll be anything else, I peruse his menu. I'm stuffed, but I say yes, cram my mouth with macaroons and chocolate. And when the Lyft driver seduces me in the rear view, eyes me like prey, asks, may I kiss you? I say, yes. And when the long-legged woman I've long lusted after at the gym wonders aloud if I'm single, asks me to dinner and a movie, I say yes. And when she invites me into her bed, what can I say but yes, yes, yes? And when my fan in Nova Scotia begs me to be his muse, to sanction an explicit ode to my breasts, my ankles, my lower lip, a poem he would never show his wife, I cannot say no to his lust and delusion. Now he wants to climb me, sublime me, shoot me full of stars. Is this what you want too, he writes, and I answer, yes. And when I return to my lover at last, and she sinks into the heady dampness between my thighs, looks up at me and asks, have you been faithful? I say, yes. Thank you. This one was published in Slipstream recently and in Verse Daily. It's called Midnight in the Backyard of Lust and Longing. The Saphists are at it again. Screw yous ricochet off our common walls. Invectives landmine my window. You cheating bitch! Like clockwork, this drunken Friday night climax to their ceaseless lovers' quarrel. I'll kill you, I hear the big one growl, and then the smash plates, the screams. By the time the cops arrive, it's a full-out brawl, the two women spilling from their back door, tussling across the no-man's land between their tiny backyard and mine. Worse than animals. This time it's Holly, the younger one, dragged to the patrol car, yellow hair wilding, small hands cuffed behind her back, kicking at the cops in those Daisy Dukes, an army jacket wafting her silhouette. More clothes than she had on the last time the cops rolled up, or the time before. It's almost dawn, and the trees shiver in the fog. Raccoons slink through the tall grass. Marie, Holly's better half, paces the yard in a blue bathrobe and slippers, smoking a cigarette, sobbing as the cops jam her lover into their car. Watch your head, she cries, and flings herself across the yard, lunges for Holly through the glass. Baby, baby, she sobs, the reason for their discord forgotten. Holly mouths a sloppy kiss. Marie opens her robe, presses herself against the glass. Can you believe it?
Yes.
I would do anything to be loved like that. This one is called For the Sad Waitress at the Diner in Barstow. Beyond the kitchen's swinging door, beyond the order wheel and the pass-through piled high with bacon, hash browns, biscuits, and gravy, past the radio tuned to 101.5 FM, all country all the time, past the truckers overwhelming the counter, all grab ass and longing. In the middle of morning rush, you'll find her in a wilted pink uniform, coffee pot fused in her grip, staring over the top of your head. You'll follow her gaze out the fly-specked plate glass windows, past the parking lot, watch as she eyes those 16-wheelers barreling down the highway, their mudguards adorned with chrome silhouettes of naked women who look nothing like her. The cruel sun throws her inertia in her face. This is what regret looks like. Maybe she's searching for that hot day in August when she first walked away from you. There's a choking sound a semi makes when it pulls off the highway, that downshift, a death rattle she's never gotten used to. Maybe she's looking for a way back. Maybe she's ready to come home. But for now, she's lost herself between the register and the door, the endless business from table to kitchen. She's as much left over as those sunny side eggs, yolks hardening on your plate. Thank you. So this is something new, and it's an ekphrastic poem. I'm writing to my own photographs these days. Makes it much simpler getting the rights. Anyway, this is the photo of a very hot friend of mine named Connie Williams, who's a major poet, and he was posing for me, and I wrote to this. So, grab shot. You Ferrari baby, you Lotus Elan, you dream man, smooth moves, always some sleek bitch on your arm, and me side kicking, just afterthought. So I shoot you, replicate you in oversized prints spread out on my bed like facsimile, those blown up biceps, fine-tuned torso, face up on my pillow, your perfect pores. How the camera loves you, baby. Those smoldering Billy D shots aimed straight at a woman's vulnerability. How you juice them, seduce them, your voice dropping an octave when a woman calls and you get all berry white. You've kept up the upkeep, changed the oil, sleek, toned, you Alpha and Romeo, baby. You candy apple, you metal fleck. The wind buffs glitter all around you. That night at my studio, after one too many Hennessy, we stand toe to toe, and I turn my lips to you, ask, why not me? You grab my ass with two hands, squeeze and shrug. Baby got no back. And I flash to that chorus line of slow-eyed beauties you've bedded, each one bottom-heavy, riper than I could ever be, as if derriere were the measure of a woman. Let's get back to work, you say. You rev up your engine, I flick on the lights. Oh, baby, you shimmer, you gleam. Stand up, I tell you. Pull the shirt up over your head. Now you can't see me for real. You who can't see the beamers for the beaters. You who wouldn't know love if it bit you on the ass. Thank you. That one was The Virgin, brand new. I'm going to read some from my new book, which is my 5th book, and it came out last year. It's called The Dead Kid Poems. I wrote a book called State of Grace, the Joshua Elegies in 2015. My son died at the age of 26 from a very rare form of cancer, and I thought I'd finished with the elegies and the mourning and the grief, but I had not. And so this book came out in 2019. This poem is called Overdose. It's a persona poem, which means, for the very few of you that don't know, that it's written in someone else's voice. And this was for my girlfriend Karen, whose son died of a fentanyl overdose a year ago. He was 32. Overdose. No, he did not look natural in his coffin. He is not in a better place. Don't compare your pain to mine. Your dog getting hit by a truck is not the same. You really don't know how I feel. Don't say you're devastated. Does it always have to be about you? Don't ask me about fentanyl. Don't tell me not to dwell. Don't minimize my loss. My boy is not better off dead. For once, let's say it like it is. He did not pass away. He died. There is no plan. Don't say he is at peace. Silence is good. A hug. Tell me you have no words. Or tell me stories about that summer he rode the bulls in Ogden. All that life tightly in his grip. Thank you. Unsolicited advice to a Facebook mom. Stop plastering the site with photos of your strapping boy on the cliff of manhood, pitching a no-hitter, practicing guitar. Don't publicize his tuxedoed beauty posing with his prom date or family jaunts to look at colleges in the fall. Better to shield him from happenstance, mistaken identity, the evil eye. Protect him from what you won't imagine, a drive-by, a street race, an overdose, a dare. Pass an egg above his body while he's sleeping. Make the mano fico over him with your fist. Sew small mirrors into his clothes to reflect misfortune. Tie a red string around his wildness. When someone gives him a compliment, spit over your shoulder, then touch wood. Stop flaunting your boy's shining face, his sweetness, how he still lets you kiss him goodnight. Listen to me. Like you, I was once besotted. Don't tempt the gods. Most of my poems go through 8 or 10 or 15 or 100 drafts, but this one came out pretty much fully formed. And on the page it looks like this, a little different. It's called When I Buried My Son, I Became Someone Else. When I buried my son, I became someone else, the motherhood part written out of my script. I should have felt lighter. An alternative narrative ran alongside the dead kid one where he wasn't dead. It remains the preferable scenario. I buried my son, and now I don't know who walks on eggshells, the living or the dead, and sometimes I think the dead one is me, especially when I look in the mirror. I am coming to terms with mortality, mine, his. I've dumbed down my dreams. If you look hard enough, you'll see the skewed trajectory, the off track, the fizzle. You'll live the devastation, sip the dregs. When my mother died, I wore a lavender dress to her funeral. I stuffed it into the back of my closet where it lived for 30 years. When I found it again, the dress still fit, but I wouldn't be caught dead in it. Thank you. So this poem is a poem that took me about 30 years to write. I spent time in Istanbul as a young woman and traveled a bit alone and with my younger sister and had all sorts of adventures. And this one was in Istanbul and was recently, for some reason, published in A Minor, which is a magazine out of Hong Kong, and then again this month in Bosporus, the Bosporus Review of Books, which is in Istanbul. When I dreamed serpentine, 18, and lost in Istanbul again, it's always the dream of the elusive snake ring at the Grand Bazaar. Heavy, rose gold with emerald eyes, it gripped my finger, would not let go. It is for a man, the turbid merchant protested, tried to snatch it back. But I loved how it encircled, insinuated itself up to my knuckle. The way the orbs glistened, the entice of its tongue. Money was tight, adornment and invitation to be robbed in the confusion of Istanbul's perilous streets. It was a cruel century for a woman on her own. The ring, I told myself, was of no consequence, an extravagance, not a metaphor or a child. Yet my life since that decision, rudderless. The abandoned ring, a portent. For each play it safe in my future, the uncertainty that accompanied every bad choice, every panic dream. Tonight, I'll reconnoiter the bazaar, 18 again, only smarter, self-possessed. The ring's snake eyes will flash an SOS through the labyrinth of narrow stalls, bolts of silk and brocade commingling with complicated carpets and incense and saffron and huge copper pots. I'll find it, I'll buy it, and restart my life. Erase each timidity, each dull mistake, the maze of shops and elaborate loss, a guilt trip, the scent of sandalwood in the air. Thank you. This one is another persona poem written in the voice of my best friend Kate, who died of breast cancer in 2014. It was in Rattle last year. It's called Tonight at Last Call. Jay calls me his brown liquor girl again. His voice, dark urgency, like when we were attached. I let him grip my hips, slow dance me back to that lust, to the parking lot, his car, my tube top, a trophy in one hand, a bottle of Southern Comfort in his other. He pours that sweet Joplin down my throat, guides my hand between his legs, drives to the Malibu motel with ocean views, vibrating beds, and once more our delicious thrashing, complimentary KY where the Gideon should be, the insomniac waves rocking us long before my marriage and now after. When I ask him which part of me he loves the best, Jay answers, what's missing, tonguing the place where my nipple had been. He doesn't mind the mastectomy scar, the one my husband can't bring himself to touch. How am I doing on time? Am I? Okay. Dress rehearsal. I am trying on death like dresses. The black Donna Karan sheath beckons, perfect for weddings, funerals, twice to court, killer side slits. Call it 38 special. The skimpy red bandage dress, tags still attached, dinner with Allison, a no-show. Do I want to be dressed like devastation, found like that? Call it death by misadventure? The white silk shirtwaist with black polka dots Stella bought me at a discount when she worked at iMagnin. The backstab stain that made it unwearable. Call it exsanguination. The blue velvet gown ripped by Lorraine while tonguing Veuve Clicquot from my throat. She left $300 on the nightstand with a note. Je ne regrette rien. Call it strangulation. The wraparound Diane von Furstenberg I wore to give Angela and her T-Bird the runaround, easy on, easy off. Like us that molten LA summer when I first slummed with girls. Call it autoerotic asphyxiation. The baby doll dress from my 20s I can't get rid of, white lace, pearl buttons, straight jacket sleeves, mini skirt, flirting my reticent thighs. Call it buried alive. Thank you. I'm going to sing. I wrote this about a year ago in the midst of all the school shootings, which have not yet stopped, and all the murders of innocents. It's called Accustomed to Dead Kids. It's sung to learner and lows, accustomed to her face from My Fair Lady. And there are 3 verses. 1. I've grown accustomed to dead kids. They almost make the day begin. I've grown accustomed to the latest lockdown campus on TV. The thoughts, the prayers, the no one really cares are second nature to me now. Like breathing out and breathing in. I've grown accustomed to the sound of gunfire zinging through the air. The kid who shoots his classmates in his impotent despair. I've grown accustomed to their screams, the ending of their dreams, accustomed to dead kids. I've grown accustomed to the sobs of parents frantic as they call. I've grown accustomed to the terror when their children don't respond. The pleas, the cries, unsaid goodbyes are second nature to me now, like breathing out and breathing in. I've grown accustomed to the anguish when they learn their child is dead, hid in the aorta of their heart or in their head. I've grown accustomed to the thought, guns matter, kids do not, accustomed to dead kids. I've grown accustomed to the lies, the gutless thoughts and hollow prayers. I've grown accustomed to the rants, the NRA, and no, we can't. The maimed, the dead, the platitudes instead are second nature to me now, like breathing out and breathing in. I've grown accustomed to deceit, blame backpacks, Ritalin, or God. Never will the truth be told, it's just too fucking hard. I've grown accustomed to the game, politicians with no shame, accustomed to dead kids. Thank you. I keep thinking we won't have to read that anymore, and it doesn't. I'm going to end with this one. I'm a big Roxane Gay fan, and she's a poet, an essayist, a brilliant novelist, a force of nature, and she made this comment in an essay that I took and ran with, and the comment was, there is a God for broken people. And that's the name of the poem. The God for broken people. This is the God for the second rate, the one who waylays you at the party, plies you with bourbon, fucks you in the kitchen, makes you walk home in the rain. This God shines in the runoff. This God hustles the night. This God minds the maimed, culls emotional cripples off the top like cream. This God is a shape shifter, a dumpster diver, the God who loiters at the corner of Dolorosa and despair. This God drinks alone. The God for broken people trolls the city for discards, marries the exploited with the lost. This God sweeps up the miscreants, gusts their darkness into night. This is the God of no hope, no money. This God has your back when you backslide. This God bets on you to fail, hides in your broken places. This God is willing to wait. When you're ready to surrender, remember, this is your last best chance. This God will not stick by you, won't give you false hope. This God will kill you or save you. Choose. Thank you very much. Thank you. And I do have books for sale, and I would love to sign them. So thank you very much.